Alright people, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell notification. That way you know when I upload the next video and you'll be supporting my channel. Follow me on Twitter. Every time I upload a new video, I'll be tweeting. Ladies and gents, this is UX and this is the Bronze Age Collapse. Before the Storm Extra History Part 1 by the channel Extra Credits. Yeah, I did the poll in the community post on YouTube, whatever. Which series should I react to first? And people, with a good enough, margin, tell me to, react to Bronze Age Collapse. So yeah, there we go. Bronze Age, basically the first time people start to use metal rather than being, using stones and sticks and shit like that. That's all I know about Bronze Age. That's where my history lesson stops. Because in past year, all the history that I reacted to multiple times because, overlapping, content, different channel talking about same topic. Bronze Age, I never touched this ever, even in summary. So I guess this is going to be fun for me. Egyptians, Hittites, okay, I don't know how to say that. Assyrians, Mycenaeans. Long ago, these four Bronze Age civilizations lived together in a healthy system of trade, agriculture, and sometimes warfare. Sometimes, okay. But then everything changed when the sea people attacked. Ooh, sea people. What is this, start of some kind of a fictional storyline? Come on. I love how history sometimes sounds as ridiculous some writer wrote it up, but apparently it's reality. So history can be really, surprising. That's what I'll learn in past year whenever I react to different historical events. So let's watch it. Remember, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like, subscribe, so I know which type of channels to react to more. There are way too many channels, right? Way too many things I need to react is on my list. I still don't have time. People are still screaming about lots of things I still haven't touched it, which I will do, believe me, right? There's nothing I will, leave aside, I guess, whatever I started. I think today I'm also going to do Alexander the Great. If I have time, I'm going to make time. I'm definitely doing that. Alexander the Great's last part is left, I guess, from Epic History TV. I'm going to do that. And yeah, we'll see, I guess. John Turnstone, Warhammer 40k, things like that. Yeah, let's watch it.
Giant cities, thriving civilizations, literacy, art, trade, wonders, temples, and palaces. Then nothing but cinder and ash. The Bronze Age collapse is one of history's greatest mysteries. All along the crescent, from modern-day Egypt to Greece, there once existed spectacular ancient civilizations. Civilizations that had lasted thousands of years, that built wonders like the Great Pyramids and the palace complex at Knossos. Then, after just a few decades, all of it was...
Is it called Knossos or Knossos? I don't know. Ooh, really? Obviously, I know about Mycenaean civilization, but there was a trend around that time. Like, it's not just Mycenaeans, people of Crete, I think is the name. Yeah, people of Crete, Mycenaeans. Those are not the only people who disappeared. Around that same time, other civilizations also somewhat disappeared or something, I guess. Or deteriorated, whatever. I know after Mycenaeans, the Greek civilizations that we know of came to be, the barbarians.
Reduced to rubble. Between the years of 1200 and 1150 BCE, archaeologists found city after city burned, leveled to the ground. After thousands of years of thriving growth and prosperity, almost every major Bronze Age civilization collapsed in less than the span of a single human lifetime. And what followed was perhaps the darkest age in history. International trade disappears. Pottery becomes primitive, a throwback to an earlier age. Construction of great monuments and temples ceases entirely. Centralized government vanishes. Certain skills and trades simply cease to be practiced. And perhaps most painful of all for us as students of history, the written word becomes almost extinct.
Oh, yeah.
In some areas, the ability to read and write appears to die out completely. In others, a few people desperately clung to the ancient art. That's what makes this period such a mystery. Because of the shrinking societies, the abandonment of cities and towns, the lack of royal decrees or record-keeping, and the decline in buildings constructed out of permanent material like stone, no one really actually knows why Bronze Age civilization collapsed. So this series will be an overview of this mystery, a discussion.
as soon as oh, the trade collapse, people collapse, it was just terrible. I'm like, that's so wrong. But seriously, man, I didn't know this shit. Really? Around the same time when Mycenaeans disappear, around the same time relatively, like, one human lifetime, that is kind of the same considering the timeline here. Major civilization disappeared in a way, destroyed, and after that people forgot how to write, forgot how to make things, and we don't know what happened. This is so grim in a way that I'm pretty sure there is either tribe or tribal people like Mongols or something probably destroyed every civilization, conquered them, and the result is nobody knows shit after that. So everything collapsed, Bronze Age and everything, because all knowledge collapsed. It's so eerie to think about this. We don't know about this. All the major names so far, right? The Genghis Khan, Alexander the Great, the conquerors, we know of. But probably there was one conquering civilization or tribe that we don't know of, which killed Bronze Age. What? This is so awesome, man. I didn't know when Mycenaeans disappeared around that time, lots of Egyptian different civilizations also disappeared in a way. And I did know that somebody also talked about after the Mycenaean Creeds, people stopped, forgot how to write, and even writing disappeared. There was no writings we can find of. So something happened that basically killed off major civilization. You know what I just realized? Hollywood can do much things with this. Like they can enter a supernatural element to this with this story. Like some supernatural entity, empire rose up and killed all the civilization around the world. They can basically fill in the gap with some supernatural fictional thing. That would be so great. That's, that like Mark Twain said, get your science right, then distort it at your leisure. This is kind of like get your history straight by, talking about Bronze Age and things around it. Then where the gaps are, basically distorted in your way. That would be so good.
Discussion of everything that we do know, and then some conjecture. Let's start by setting the scene, and for that, you must first know the players. It's roughly 1200 BCE. A number of kingdoms, city-states, and proto-empires have sprung up in eastern North Africa, the Middle East, Anatolia, Greece, and the islands of the Aegean Sea. Starting from the south and working our way north, we first have Egypt. Egypt was the great power of the late Bronze Age world, with wealth and sophistication surpassing anything that the other empires could achieve. This is not to say that the other empires were poor. There's quite a lot of evidence that, at least materially, people in this age were better off basically than every other era until the classical period. But Egypt was out there on top. Let's talk about—
Hold up there. You know what fucking awesome thing is? Around this time, people basically either were such a bad condition or didn't know how to build proper big structures. But even around Egypt, imagine that walking around seeing the Great Pyramids like, some aliens made that shit. It has to be, because clearly we don't know how to even make a small structure, permanent structure. And look at this shit. How alien-like that would have felt. Because let's be honest, few centuries apart, people would be dumbfounded because knowledge would be lost. So lots of people won't realize like we've been making these mud huts for past 2 centuries. Before that, we don't know what the fuck happened because people would have, basically forgot or something. And those pyramids stand there for, multiple centuries, even millennia. Saying like, what the fuck?
about their advantages. First off, the Nile. We may think of Egypt as a desert region today, but for most of ancient history, it was one of the most fertile places in the world. Why? Because the Nile is an incredibly predictable river. It floods regularly in a way that a society living off of irrigation can take enormous advantage of. And the flooding of the Nile didn't merely help irrigate the crops, it kept the soil rich and fertile, bringing in minerals and nutrients that sustained agriculture would usually deplete in any other environment. So Egypt had an abundance of food in a time when most of humanity spent the majority of its days simply trying to produce enough food to survive. This allowed Egypt to engage in long-distance commerce, create a strong military with a hereditary caste of warrior charioteers, and develop complex social and political mechanisms like a strong centralized bureaucracy and a highly developed religion. Not to mention build things like giant pyramids and sphinxes and sprawling temples. Egypt also benefited from the Nile as a highway. While the Nile cataracts forced merchants and travelers to switch boats or drag craft over land for a ways, the fact that almost all of Egyptian civilization existed along this river was a massive boon for communication, internal trade, even the movement of troops. Oh, and Egypt had one other thing: gold. In the south, the conquered Nubian kingdom of Kush was an unimaginable source of gold. No other Bronze Age kingdom had access to this quantity of gold wealth. Gold and artifacts from Egypt were prized around the ancient world. With this wealth, the Egyptians had expanded well past its modern-day borders. Egypt controlled, either directly or indirectly, much of the territory along the Mediterranean coast from Sinai to Anatolia, which of course put them into conflict with the Hittites. By the time of our story, the Hittites control most of Anatolia. They were a powerful militaristic society whose empire was built on the back of two economic advantages: tin and copper, the elements of bronze. Copper they had in abundance from mines on the island of Cyprus, the only truly major source of copper throughout the Near East. It became a staple of Hittite trade. And then there's tin. Tin is actually shockingly rare here on Earth. It's not like iron or even copper. It's a lot closer to uranium in scarcity. Moreover, it's not evenly distributed, so oddly enough, there was almost no tin to be found where Bronze Age civilizations cropped up. Recent archaeological evidence shows that the Hittites had some production facilities for tin at Kestel in the Taurus Mountains, which, if true, may well have been the only tin production in the entire region. But this source, coupled with the Hittite ability to import both from the east through the Assyrians and from the west via trade routes coming through Europe, meant that they could help sustain hunger for tin throughout the Bronze Age world. This also put them in the crosshairs of basically everybody, and they had
that's a fucking commodity as ever is one, I guess. So they literally have one thing that nobody has at that point. So everybody would be gunning for Hittites is the name, I guess. But I don't even know what I said in the start of the video, but yeah, Hittites or something like that. Hittites.
Fight continuously to keep their trade routes open. They were one of the few powers that could go toe-to-toe with the Egyptians, and in fact, the oldest written peace treaty we have is from shortly before the collapse, in which these two superpowers agreed to stop
We have that? Before the collapse of Bronze Age, we have a literal peace treaty on our head, like, Egyptian and Hittites like, be cool, man, be cool, yeah, be cool.
trying to tear each other apart. Why the ceasefire, though? Well, perhaps because they were both feeling pressure from another empire, the Assyrians. Maybe because they were located further east, away from the coasts, or perhaps due to some other combination of military prowess, political cohesion, and luck, the Assyrians would outlast these other empires for 100 years before their own decline, meaning that they won't play too direct a role in our story. If anything, they serve as a foil, a counterbalance, an antagonizing force that'll keep the pressure on some of these other empires at a time where they can stand it the least. What the Assyrian Empire lacked was open trade ports on the Mediterranean coast, so they would be drawn to push westward, into the Hittite Empire and the Egyptian tributary states of the Levant, whenever they think these...
So this is literally equivalent to, there's a group of people, a crowd basically formed up around a thing, and everybody's like, I need to get in the top of the line and just push everybody just to get at literally the front of the line. This is equivalent to the... Assyrians like, I want to get there. I want access to that.
Empires are too weak to resist them. Which leaves us with just one other people, the Mycenaeans. These were the Proto-Greeks. They ruled from most of southern Greece to the island of Crete. They were seafarers, instrumental in the vast trading network that extended throughout the Bronze Age world. They were also the industrial center for much of the ancient world, importing raw goods and then exporting finished products.
I would like to think the Mycenaean must be really powerful because most of the Greeks literally took things from Mycenaean and called their own, right? All the way to the Athenians and everything. And we know how dominant Greeks were, right? Around the world. From there, Romans took it over somewhat and, they were the dominant one. We literally see as Romans and Greeks before them as the dominant power of the world around that time compared to anything else. And Mycenaeans were ancestor of that, at least, passing down the knowledge and technology wise. So Mycenaeans has to be somewhat similar to how Greeks were around that time.
Built through a complex top-down system of industry. They were renowned for their Cyclopean fortifications and palaces which served as manufacturing centers, political hubs, and redoubts. They were masters of complex engineering and builders of great roads. They were also spectacular artists. Even the Egyptians would sometimes hire or emulate them. But they, like all the rest, would fall. Join us next time as we discuss the technology, social structure, and politics that make these societies possible, but might also set them up for collapse.
Seriously, the Bronze Age around that time, the level of, buildings and the complex complexes that they had, their structures different, the Mycenaean Cretes. It's just ridiculous, right? I don't even know what video I watched that he talked about which kind of buildings and things they had, public baths and everything before the Greeks even arrived, which was fucking awesome. Right, bro, that was the Bronze Age collapse before the storm. Holy shit, I'm so glad I'm reacting to this one. I didn't see this coming. I just thought Bronze Age, yeah, this is the time where you start to use metal. Yeah, sure, yeah, then probably collapse. I didn't know the major scale event, something like that happened, where all the major civilization kind of collapsed. And then there was some, dark ages of short. Nobody know how to write, nobody know how to create mega structures until the Greeks came and we know their story, at least around that region. Right, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment down if you want me to react to a specific video, or I don't know, any critique about my reaction, I guess. And yeah, I guess I'll see you next time.